Most people who have grown up introverted in this very extroverted culture of ours have had painful experiences of feeling like they are out of step with what's expected of them. Parenting can pose unique challenges for introverted parents, who fear that their own painful experiences will be repeated in their children's lives. I would like to believe that I still am a shy person. I am very introverted. I have a problem communicating. I lost my mind at 15. I'd been shown a world where there were no boundaries, where everyone gave me all the power, and I was like, this is great. Then that was gone. But I was like, yeah, but I still want that. I'd lost my humble, very quiet, introverted sensibilities, which I think I definitely had as a kid. My dad is like a cactus, introverted and tough. I'm a people person, like my mom, but I got my competitiveness from my dad. He came to this country from Belarus with nothing and built a real business. He's my hero for giving me that need to run a business and for having enormous confidence in me. My dad could be beyond brilliant but totally introverted. If we're talking about computers, he's on. Otherwise, he's a total recluse. He stays in the house and won't leave, and I'm like that. If I'm not working, I'm locked up in my room. Basically, I'm a shy human being. Very introverted. I'm a very introverted person. Nothing that's happened has changed that. But one of the reasons I write for teens is it's a real privilege to have a seat at the table in the lives of young people when they're figuring out what matters to them. I think I was very shy and introverted when I was younger, and yet, when I got in front of the camera or went out on the town, I was able to go out half naked and do anything. I was an introverted kid. I liked my time alone, and the rest of my family is pretty extroverted, so I felt like a bit of an oddball. They're very gregarious and charming and charismatic people. I always felt like I was struggling as a young person. I think everyone was very surprised to hear that I wanted to be an actor. I'm quiet and introverted, and I like to just be by myself a lot. I like to read and just get away and surf. I have a lot of alone time. Just as we were finishing Paul's Boutique, we got our own places, and I was going out to clubs a lot less. I got a bit more introverted and spent a lot more time on my own reading. I would just go down to the esoteric bookstore and wander around. We all serve a purpose. My purpose isn't to be rejected. My purpose isn't to think small or to be introverted. This door closed is literally pushing me to the next door. I never met a person as determined as my mother. From working hard for 6 kids to just trying to keep the household down or maintain my father's discipline, my dad, I'm so much like my father too. My father was so introverted, quiet, shy, nice. I got attributes from my father and mother. I'm quite introverted but I'm not shy. I'm actually introverted and shy. I was not athletically inclined. I was very quiet, introverted, non-confrontational. My 3 older brothers were athletes, basketball, football, but I was kind of a mama's boy. Then one day, my brother Roger encouraged me to go to the boxing gym with him. I tried the gloves on, and it just felt so natural. Everyone at school knew who my dad was. It made me a little self-conscious, a little introverted because I had a lot of attention drawn towards me. But in a way I guess it gives you a little bit of a celebrity skin, even though I wasn't a celebrity. Where I feel the most productive and engaged is when I'm buried in code, buried in some project, tweaking some designs. I'm certainly introverted. Once you get over the culture shock, Philly is a pleasant spot, particularly at the beginning or end of the summer, when the hotels are half full. The brave go in winter, when the wind can be bitter and biting, and Philly resumes its real life as a tiny, introverted fishing community. I am a very shy, introverted guy. I've become more introverted as I've got older. I used to be an outgoing person who joked around a lot, but as the amount of energy I expend by sharing my music has increased, I like to balance it by spending time by myself and recuperating. I was very introverted. You know, I had my close group of friends, but I really didn't care what the cool kids were doing. I was very introverted. I had glasses and was kind of weird. A lot of actors are pretty weird people. Classical pianist Awadajan Pratt. I first heard this eccentric and introverted performer when I was living in the Midwest. He was playing Brahms' ballades, haunting. I'm actually very introverted. I'm very shy. I'm very emotional. A lot of good actors tend to be quite introverted as people. I'm introverted by nature, and I need to have some things of my own. When I was growing up, I wasn't an extrovert. If anything, I was an introverted kid and a very average pupil at school. I was very quiet. I wasn't an extroverted kid. I was very academic and very introverted. Being introverted, it doesn't mean necessarily being shy or being afraid of public speaking, it just means that it's hard for me to interact with people for too long. I'm a very shy, introverted person. I lead an introverted and boring life here in California. Men are more likely to be introverted than women are, but it's really very slight. But the real difference I think is in how it plays out, how it relates to cultural stereotypes. It's important for a parent to learn to take delight in a child whose behavior might seem mystifying. In the case of an extroverted parent with an introverted child, it can be learning to see the inner riches of your child that may not always be expressed on the surface, but are there. I've always been the DJ or the bass player or the drummer, somebody in the background. I don't think anybody who knows me personally would say that I'm particularly shy or introverted, but I'm definitely not like Mr. Attention. I always try to be myself. Ever since I was an introverted kid, I'd get on stage and be able to break out of my shell. I still consider myself to be introverted, but everyone has a side of themselves that is amplified. Performers have to learn to tap into that, even if it's not natural. I was very shy and I was very introverted as a kid, but whenever I set foot on stage, I kind of opened up, and I think a lot of kids need an outlet to express their creativity. And a lot of kids are scared to do that if there's not a safe environment for that. At the root of the shy temperament is a deep fear of social judgment, one so severe it can sometimes be crippling. Introverted people don't worry unduly about whether they'll be found wanting, they just find too much socializing exhausting and would prefer either to be alone or in the company of a select few people. I was a very shy and introverted person, and it was hard for me to talk to people and make relationships. I always considered myself really non-confrontational and shy and introverted. I tend to get cast as a certain type of quiet, almost introverted person who's strong on the inside, but the characters are so very different I don't see it as any kind of typecasting. I'm one of those introverted people who simply feels a lot better after spending time alone thinking through ideas and emotions. This is a sign, I've come to think, of a kind of emotional disturbance, a reaction to inner fragility. I wish I were more able to just act and do, rather than constantly have to retreat and examine and think. Magicians are typically introverted, they don't tend to work with others, but I work with software programmers, composers, designers. So it's a very diverse group and the result is always more interesting than something I could have done by myself. I was introverted, shy. But if you win a lot you need to be extroverted, or they'll think you're arrogant. Everything about the music industry takes away from you as an artist. They're always wondering what the next thing is, what do you have? It's a very introverted process. I'm probably the most introverted extrovert you'll ever meet. Up until I got this show I was constantly told, she was really good, but she's just not cute enough. I was an extremely reclusive and introverted boy. I think any branding for me is band-related. It's really weird to get used to the exposure, because I am a naturally introverted person, and I'm not exactly social. Occasionally I can get comfortable enough to talk, but I spend a lot of my days not talking, especially when I'm at home and not on tour. Our audience is really upbeat, likes to have a good time. They're not introverted or shy. Visit our website for more quotes, quoting.com.